All right, let's dive right into this explainer and unpack what I can only really describe as a massive software update for human existence. Have you ever completely agonized over a major life decision, like picking up your entire life and moving to a new city, or honestly, even just a new neighborhood? We've all been there. You worry about the timing, you worry about making a misstep. Historically, people look to the stars, to fortune tellers, and to these really ancient rules to guide them safely. But according to the fascinating source material we're looking at today, the underlying rules of the universe have fundamentally changed. We're going to explore a total paradigm shift that completely rewrites how we make major life decisions today.
Should you move west this year? You know, that exact dilemma causes so much anxiety for people. For generations, we've relied on fortune-telling, lucky directions, and auspicious dates, mostly just to avoid making the wrong choice. If you were told moving west was lucky, well, you packed your bags and headed west. If you were told a certain day was cursed, there is no way you'd sign a lease on that day. But relying on these mystical rules without actually understanding them just left people in this state of constant anxiety, always terrified of stepping out of bounds and triggering some sort of cosmic punishment.
It's kind of fascinating when you look at the deep confusion built into that traditional advice. Imagine going to an advisor who tells you, hey, you should handle iron, which basically means you should go into a specific industry to get rich. So you do it, and the money rolls in. You think it's fantastic, but the advisor never actually told you why or how to use it. According to the text, wealth is an energy that belongs to the people. So if a massive amount of wealth flows to you, and you just use it selfishly because you completely lack the education on its social purpose, you ultimately face some really harsh consequences. You were given the what without the why, and it leads straight to failure.
Section 1. The Moving Dilemma.
Section 2. The Era of Destiny.
So in the past, human lives operated on a really rigid track. The source explains that we lived according to Saju, basically a predetermined path or destiny that we were born right into. In this era, nature acted as a very, very strict supervisor. If your Saju dictated that you needed to move to a specific place to absorb certain energies, you had to go. If you decided to just ignore the path and strayed from your destiny, you lost nature's protection. It wasn't necessarily some angry god punishing you, it's more like you just stepped outside the protective boundary of your designated path, leaving yourself totally vulnerable to bad luck.
Think of human beings in this era essentially as toddlers. When a toddler is walking near a busy street, a parent doesn't just let them wander around freely, right? The parent grips their hand tightly and guides literally every step for their own safety. Historically, we humans lacked deep knowledge. We were fundamentally weak and just unequipped to navigate the complexities of the world all by ourselves. So spirits, gods, and the forces of nature led us safely by the hand. We had to do exactly what we were told, even if we didn't have a clue what the reasons behind it were.
Section 3. The Great 2013 Shift.
But here's where it gets wild. Everything changed, and honestly, quite recently. Up until 2012, we were still operating under the old rules, still guided by the gods, still entirely tied to our Saju and those strict predetermined destinies. But 2013? That marked an official transition. It was the year we basically graduated. The universal framework shifted to acknowledge that humanity had finally accumulated enough knowledge, strength, and intellectual capability to just stand on its own 2 feet. The era of predetermined destiny officially closed, moving us firmly into the present day.
Section 4. The Human Era.
Just think about how drastically our reality is flipped here. We've gone from this era of cautionary living, where spirits led and you constantly had to fear the consequences of a wrong step, to our present reality. Today is completely defined by free will, personal choice, and human agency. We are absolutely no longer bound by unseen forces dictating our every single move. We are the operators of our own lives now.
Going back to that toddler metaphor for a second, this is exactly what happened in 2013. The toddler has grown into a highly capable adult. Because we've gathered all this knowledge and power, nature has literally let go of our hands. Now, does that mean we're just entirely abandoned? No, not at all. The source beautifully notes that the parent sits back and empowers us from behind. Nature is absolutely still there to support us, but it's not going to pull us by the wrist anymore. We're expected to make our own choices and lead our own way.
So, the absolute most crucial takeaway here, you no longer need to fear moving in the wrong direction. Those old anxieties about moving west or moving on an unlucky day, those are relics of the past. If you want to move, follow your interests. You can go wherever your heart desires. The universe is definitely not laying traps for you based on what your compass app says.
Section 5. The Power of Consensus.
So if we're tossing out the fortune tellers and the lucky directions, what exactly is our new tool for making choices?
The answer isn't looking outward to the stars, it's looking inward to your circle. The defining tool of the human era is consensus. The source defines this as the act of discussing, compromising, and reaching a purely unified agreement with the people closest to you. In this era, human connection and mutual understanding are literally the highest forms of energy. It's not about what a mystical chart says anymore, it's about what you and your loved ones decide together.
Okay, so how do we practically do this? Here is your new, totally empowering roadmap for relocating. Step 1. Start with the person closest to you, your spouse or partner. Have a real, genuine discussion. If you both agree, you move right to Step 2. Discuss it with the rest of your family who will be affected by the move. Step 3 is doing the work to reach that full, harmonious consensus. And once everyone is on board and totally united, look at Step 4. You just pick any convenient moving date. You don't consult an almanac for a lucky day. The sheer fact that it is convenient for your newly united family makes it the absolute perfect day.
And this just brilliantly illustrates the ultimate promise of the human era. The source clearly states that if you and your family are completely united in your decision, the universe will fully support you. Heaven helps those who reach consensus. Even if your plan has a few minor flaws, the power of your collective agreement is so incredibly strong that the universe will smooth out the bumps and ensure things work out. Lucky dates and auspicious directions, they are completely irrelevant when you possess the unbreakable energy of a united family.
So I want you to think about your life right now. When you face your next major decision, maybe a big move, a career change, or a huge purchase, who are you gonna consult first? Will you look for signs and superstitions out of fear? Or will you turn to the people right next to you, do the hard work of communication, and build a real consensus? Because in this new era, your family's united voice matters far, far more than destiny. Thank you so much for exploring this fascinating explainer with me, and I really hope it completely transforms how you approach your next big step in life.